Now we're going to talk about circle. Right? Now we're going to talk about circle. Okay, so circle, well, everyone knows what circle looks like. Circle looks like this round thing, right? This round thing. Well, let's assume that this is perfect round thing. Okay, so it has this center right in the middle. The middle is called center, and distance from center to this um, outside line of the circle, this distance is radius. Radius. So circle is actually a collection of a point that shares same distance from the circle, the center, right? From the center. So they usually use this center as H and K for X coordinate and Y coordinate. Because, at the end, I mean, this circle is going to be in two-dimensional space. So, oops, it must have that X and Y line. So, just like this x-axis and y-axis, and that center right there should have the x coordinate value and the y coordinate value, and they usually refers to h and k for the center, and they use r for radius. Okay. And there are a couple of definition and formulas that we need to know, and the first one is the standard form. Standard form. Okay, so standard form of equation of circle that has radius as r and center at h and k. If this is like an actual equation of circle, this r and h and k is going to be the actual number. So what's the standard form looks like? Standard form looks like this. X minus h squared plus y minus k squared equal r squared. So this form right there is called the standard form. Now, why is it plus h here? Well, plus h here, and why is it minus h there? And why is it k there? And this is minus k there. Well, that's what the formula is saying. So whatever the center that we have, when you put it in the formula, it's going to be the reverse sign, right? Please try to remember that. Whatever the actual center and the formula is going to be the reversed sign, right? Reversed sign. So, if I give you example, let's say centered at -3 and 2 and has radius as 5. Now let's figure out the equation of the standard form of circle. So remember, it's going to be the opposite. So x If this is a minus 3 of h, then it's going to be plus 3 square. And if this is a plus 2, then it's going to be minus 2, y minus 2 square equal 5 square. That's it. I mean, you know, it's not that bad, right? So if centered at 0, 0 and radius as well, let's say radius is just the r. It's not. Let's just keep it as just a variable. Then the equation should look like x minus 0, which is nothing, so it should be just x0 plus y0 equal r squared, right? And just one more thing, unit circle. So unit circle is a circle centered at 0, 0 and has radius as 1. Now that's what unit circle means. Center at 0, 0 and radius is equal to 1. So the equation must be x squared plus y squared equal 1 square technically, but 1 square is just 1. So we're just going to leave it as 1, just like that, right? Okay. Now let's do a couple of graphing example. So example graph. So graph, let's say x plus 3 square plus y minus 2 square equal, say, 16. Okay, now we can see that this is the circle equation. Center at what? Remember that actual center in the equation is the opposite sign. So if this is a plus 3, so it's going to be negative 3. This is negative 2 for y, so it's going to be plus 2. And radius should be, what square is 16? 4. 4 square. Remember, this was r square in this place right there, so it should be 4. So center that negative 3 and 2, and radius is 4. All right, so let's see what the circle should look like. Negative 3, 1, 2, 3. This is y, this is x. Negative 3 and positive 2. Right here. Positive 2. That's our center. Right? And radius being 4, which means from that point we're going to go up 4, down 4, left 4, right 4. I mean left 4, right 4, and every direction it's going to be 4. So if I go up 4, be 1, 2, 3, 4, probably about this point. If I go to the right 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, go down 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, maybe about here. To the left, 1, 2, 3, 4. You know, so we just roughly making these four corners, right? And what we're going to do, we're going to try to come up with a circle that covers all those points. I mean, it doesn't have to be, perfect. As long as it looks like a circle, round thing, we'll take it, right? So there you go. This is our graph, and this is what the circle should look like. Okay. Now, next example is graphing again. Graph the equation. And this time the equation looks a little bit different. So the example that we have is this x squared plus y squared plus 4x minus 6y plus 12 equal 0. Okay. So if you take a look at this equation, it doesn't really look like the equation of circle. However, it is one of the form, which is actually called general form of circle equation, right? It's in general form. Now what we need to do, we need to convert this into the standard form so we can extract the center and the radius so that we can graph it, right? Just by looking at this, you can really graph this equation. So the technique that we are going to use here is almost like that the completing the square technique that we also checked in our one of those previous lecture, right? If you remember the completing the square technique in solving quadratic equation, then this would be very similar to that. So what we are going to do first, we're going to write x squared plus 4x. So we wrote x squared, 4x. Once we write these two x together, we're going to set up the plus box and the minus box plus y squared minus 6y. So we dealt with this and this. And the same way, we're going to set up plus box and the minus box plus 12 equals 0. Alright, so this is how we set it up, right? This plus box minus box is going to be added right after 2x term. Oh, you know what? Why did I write y here? This is total mistake. This must be x, right? This must be x. So let me just correct it, x. Okay, so after 2x term, we're going to set up plus minus. After 2y term, we're going to set up plus minus. Is it always like this? After 2x term like that and 2y term? Yes, it's going to be always like that. Now, the number that we are going to put in here will be determined by this number. Just like completing the square technique. This 4 will be divided by 2, which is 2. Then what do we do? Square it. Square this. So 4 divided by 2, is it always 2 here? Yes, it's always 2. Always 2. right? So 4, whatever this number, divided by 2 is always 2, which is 2 that we have. Square it would be 4 and 4 there, because we're gonna use the same number. Now same thing in here. Number they're gonna put it in here will be determined by this number. -6 divided by 2, of course, just like in here, will be divided by 2, which is -3. Then we're gonna square. So -3 times -3, which is 9 and 9, just like that. All right, now what? Now we are going to group this first 3 together for this, and we are also going to group this first 3 together for y. Okay, once we group this, what do? We factor this. Remember, we factor this. So we're going to set up x, another x, multiply to before, add it to before. Well, that's 2 and 2. And we're going to deal with this number a little bit later, right? And let's deal with this y part. Again, we're going to factor this y too. So y and y multiply to be 9, add it to be -6. That must be -3, -3. So we still have to deal with this -4 and this -9 and this plus 12 equal 0. Okay, so let's simplify this. This that I can rewrite as x plus 2 square. And this that I can rewrite as y minus 3 square. Now what about here? -4, -9, that's -13. Plus 12, so that must be -1. All this become -1. If we move this -1 to the other side, it becomes 1. Okay, so let's try to graph this. After all, the question says graph this equation, right? Again, we need this x and y. Well, before we do that, let's figure out the center. Center must be, remember, it's the opposite sign. So it'll be -2 and +3. Radius is 1. Okay. Can't really draw here. Okay, it's better. So this is y, this is x. Center at -2 and 3. So 1 and 2. -2, 3. 1, 2, 3. So centers right about here, right? -2 and 3. And what's the radius? 1. So it's a little easier. Go up by 1, right, left, down by 1. You know, so the small circle like this. Wow, don't like it. Try again. All right, almost the same. Anyway, so that's what this equation should look like once you change it to the proper circle form, and then figure out the center and the radius, and then graph this equation just like that, right? You should try a couple of other example, right? You should try a couple of other example. um, um, besides this, just one example, right? Okay, let me just give you one more example. Let's say you have x squared um, plus y squared minus 6x plus 10y um, plus 18 equals 0. Let's say you have something like this, right? And let me give you a little bit of time to see if you can um, convert this into those circle um, standard form, right? Find the radius um, and the center, right? Find the radius and the center. So, why don't you pause the video and try this and see if you can do this, right? Well, so we're gonna write this x together plus box minus box y squared plus 10y plus box minus box plus 18 equals 0. Alright, so this number will be negative 6 divided by 2, which is negative 3. We square, so it'll be 9 and 9. This number is from 10 divided by 2, 5 square, 25, 25. So we are going to group this first 3 together and this y3 together. Alright, if you factor this, this will become x negative 3 and another x negative 3. So let's do it square. And this will become y plus 5 and another 5. So we have negative 5, negative 25 plus 18 equals 0. So this, and this, right? So what do we have now? Negative 9, negative 25 plus 18. What would that be? This would be negative 16. So if you rewrite it, x negative 3 squared plus y plus 5 squared equal, if I move 16 to the other side, plus 16, which is 4 squared. So center is going to be, remember, it's going to be the opposite, right? So it'll be positive 3 and negative 5, and the radius is going to be 4, right? Okay.